On this episode of the podcast, I was delighted to be joined by Cecilia, CBO, and Susanna, Director of Intelligent Automation in the Nordic region. Having the perspective from both business and engineering heads, it gives us an insight into the dynamics at Roboyo and how we work together from different backgrounds to solve problems for our clients. We discuss the growth of the Nordic region, while also challenging each other on the key trends that we believe will come to the forefront in our industry. The episode is also filled with great stories and learnings from the past, so I hope you all enjoy. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the All Access Automation Podcast. Today I am delighted to be joined by Cecilia and Susanna, CBO and Director of Intelligent Automation. Exactly. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All good?
All good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We're sitting in Barcelona, which I think is,
it could be worse.
It could be worse.
Exactly,
yeah. It could be really worse.
Yeah. And of course, we're here for All Eyes on Automation this week.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Can't wait. It starts tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And did you come in this morning or?
Yesterday,
actually. Okay.
Yeah.
And a few meetings today and then getting ready for tomorrow for the big day.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
Meeting all the interesting people, we get lots of folks down here. So I think it's going to be great.
And you were both at it last year as well in Nuremberg?
I was not. No? I was on maternity leave. So
okay.
I was actually not participating then.
I was there. Yeah. I can tell you everything. There's even videos, I'm sure, on our LinkedIn about all the amazing times we had. No, honestly, I was there last year. So that's why I'm super psyched about tomorrow. It was a really good event, actually, in the sense that all our clients were talking about, what's really most important to them. Yeah. Like what hurts, what didn't work, what could we have done better, what are we most proud of? And, when you go into that type of depth, then it just becomes really interesting. Yeah. So, tomorrow.
Tomorrow and Thursday. It's actually 2 days. So not to forget. Yeah,
very good. Looking forward to it. But anyway, plenty to talk about today. Obviously, both of you coming from a business background and a more technical and engineering background. We're going to discuss the dynamics between that. Obviously, both of you based in the Nordics as well. So we'll talk about the kind of growth within that region and the journey that you've been on. And then we'll talk a bit about the trends for the future and what you kind of see as emerging technologies or emerging trends, either in the Nordic region and globally as well. But I suppose just to kind of kick it off, it's great to get a bit of information, a bit of insight into your own careers and your journey towards Roboyo. I'll start with yourself, Cecilia, if you want to give a bit of a background.
Sure. How did I end up here? I studied business, actually, if we start back then. And I quickly realized I wanted to do other things. Got a master in international business, by the way. But quite quickly, I actually went into tech straight after uni. So I've been both in the sales field, working a lot with ERP systems, BI systems, and selling and implementing that to clients. I've worked also with supply chain processes because, as we all know, when we're trying to buy or sell something, that's very, very important to optimize. And before I ended up in Roboyo, I actually changed or got the opportunity to dive even deeper into tech. So, business background, but I got the opportunity to become a developer. Low code, though. So I know that Susanna is actually watching me right now with a smile on her face. So not actual development, guys, fine. It was low code. But yeah, so I was actually a developer for a local platform, a Nordic one, and creating applications for clients. All kinds of clients, actually, large and small, and that, in a sense, also caught my interest when it comes to automation, of course, because that's one of the automation technologies, and I really wanted to do more in that area. And that's actually what brought me towards Roboyo. It's a bit longer story than that, because I started together with Susanna in a company called New Innovation that then later became a COA, that then later became Roboyo. So it's that
And
journey.
I actually hired you as a developer as well.
Yeah, I know.
So that's a fun fact, I think.
Yeah.
for this.
Oh, I was really pushing that. I was like, oh, I'm very good at development and I know these languages and it's just...
How did that interview go?
Like very well, actually.
Yeah.
I remember it still.
Yeah.
We were sitting in I do, of course. Sitting in an office which is actually now demolished.
Yeah,
right, okay.
exactly. Oh my God, there was graffiti on the walls and I was thinking, Jesus, where have I... Am I sure about this? Yeah.
But that was a long time ago in the beginning.
Yeah.
Very good.
True.
Good stuff. And what about yourself, Susanna?
Yeah, and but I just wanted to let you add, because you also work quite globally, right? You've been working in different places as well.
As Niall have mentioned, I've worked in Ireland, so maybe a bit of an accent there, I don't know. But yeah, so I have been working in other countries and around the Nordics as well. So,
Which fits quite well into Roboyo, right? And what we do, in that we're working with a global company.
It does.
So
it is one of the great advantages.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting, I suppose, even when you touch on the global side of Roboyo, you know, the teams that we have for clients are always international teams, and even the working styles can differ within that as well. So it's to have the experience, I suppose, of working internationally, it definitely helps, I suppose, in terms of understanding how people work.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I enjoy a lot as well. Just as you said, that we work with very global teams, so that you really have the possibility also to work with global clients, but also global colleagues.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, if I go by, or
Of course,
my journey a bit, I studied industrial engineering and management, so engineering from university, and then I wanted to get my hands dirty a bit and really understand the underlying development and how that works and underlying technologies, because I got really interesting. I had not coded anything before I entered university, but I got really interested during a couple of courses. I was terrible in the beginning, to be honest.
Way.
But it actually, caught my interest. It's very creative to do programming and development. So I wanted to really learn. So I started as a Java developer during my first years. I'm working also very international with big clients and big projects. And then I actually quite early on found, like Cecilia mentioned, at that time we were named a new innovation management. So I was actually the first employee after the founders.
Okay.
Back in 2015. No, 2016. 17. Now I need to...
16, sure.
17. It must have been. Sounds like ages ago, but it's not that long.
It does.
17 it must have been. So, and I mean, at that time, there were 3 founders from New Innovation Management. And then we got quite quickly, actually, I think we were 8, just 3 months after I started. And then, expansion were quite heavily.
Yeah.
So I've been having very different roles at the company, also developing but also growing our cloud and working with our services, as well as having a role as CTO and CIO within Acoa, which was the name of the company after it was rebranded for New Innovation Management, and then CIO at Roboyo.
Okay.
And now I'm working as a director within Intelligent Automation Engineering, which is quite a fluffy title, I know, a very long title as well. But what I do is that I work a lot with our new technologies at our customers, and see how they're best implemented and how we work within, both, of course, from a sales perspective, but also from a delivery perspective.
Okay, and what's your favorite part of that role? Because it's nice that you are coming from the developer background. You're now probably more in a commercial role as well. So how do you kind of find balancing both of that?
I think I like the balance of both, because, in one sense, everything starts with sales, and it always starts with the first dialogues, with the customers and what we want to achieve. And I really enjoy, solving a specific problem or a need that we have.
Yeah.
And with the technologies that we currently have, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, and we can, really change the way people work. and change the way the client interact with the companies, and change the way how the whole value chain really, and of course in the end the customer value, and how that is what that is, and how we make that a bigger part of the business as well. So having both an understanding of the technical implementation and how that works and the difficulties, but of course also the client interactions, the balance I think is super interesting, and it's really a lot of fun to do that, and having both legs in one ground, whatever you call it.
All the legs on the ground.
Brilliant. And just kind of, I suppose, touching on the dynamic of the teams within Roboyo, of having the expertise on the engineering side and also on the business side of things. How do you kind of find working together, I suppose, obviously in the same region, but it's great to be able to kind of come up with solutions for the client with two different perspectives.
I know that we said that when I started in new innovation, I started as a developer, and I think it took 3 months? No, 1.5 months, and then I kind of shifted towards the more of the consulting side of things, because also that was my background, having done a lot of project management, and also seeing that the technical implementation is one thing, but you still have to have the overall value in mind, how to get there, what are we doing. So I quickly transitioned towards that, and continues during those years also. I mean, I also changed roles a couple of times, and running the management consulting part of our of the Nordics. That kind of took over for me, being the interesting part, because I mean, technology is amazing, and like Susanna was saying, you can do so much, and especially we'll come into that, but with the new tech that is coming, and where it's an exponential growth of new technology. I mean, where the sky is the limit. But when it comes to applications and when it comes to processes, I mean, unless they are actually optimized, unless the waste has been deducted and it's actually a clever and good process, it doesn't matter what technology we throw at it. Right, Susanna? So that has very much been my focus, I would say, to really emphasize that. That's what we work a lot within Roboyo, that it's not just about the cool technology. It really has to be set up in a good structural way. You need to know what business value you're going to get. And you really, really have to look at your processes from all angles. That's a fun part.
And I suppose that automation journey that we always talk about as well is so important, that it can't just be automating one process here and there and everything else is kind of a mess, I suppose, in the background. But it's, I suppose, getting that point across that this is a journey that you're on, to have a holistic view of it, and then kind of target certain areas then and begin to work through a journey with the client. Do you think that having yourselves coming from two different areas and expertise in both areas, that really delivers a lot of value for the client?
Yeah, but I think it's crucial to have the both parts, even though, of course, from my point of view, it's, the technical implementation is I wouldn't say the fun part, but it's the most fun part. Yeah, I would say. but of course you need everything. And as Cecilia is mentioning as well, especially the business value, and having the business value in focus, and the customer value in focus is what's really important. And then you need to be able to drive the projects, and not having only the technical implementation in mind, but also having the human focus. Because in the end, that's what happening is that it's humans that are going to be working with this, right? It's humans who are our customers, and humans who are the employees. So we need to have both the parts being covered within the projects and being in the implementations. Otherwise, and that's what we've seen, the implementations that actually fail is when we only have the technical parts in mind. So, and there I think we complement each other quite well in that you coming more from my point of view, the process side, and having an understanding of the process, of the processes and how we do to actually both improve them, but also really to see what is the value that we want to bring, and then solving that with the technical implementation. That's when we really get to see results.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the important parts, one of the things we've learned during this journey, and together it's important. We need learnings, but it is really a journey. I mean, with each client, I think one of the things that I know we've discussed a lot is that you can have the most perfect process, and then you can have the most perfect technology, and it's all a lovely symbiosis. But processes change. This is not a one-time, okay, now it's all done, let's all relax. But we have to, it is a journey because there needs to be an element of continuous improvement as well in everything we do. So having that type of process mindset is really what I think, we've been working a lot on as well in order to make our clients happy. Because there has been, and traditionally, if you look at traditional development, and I'm almost scared looking at you, Susanna, but you think about how things should be in 6 months, and you do the first testing, and then after 1.5 years, you have the application in place, and then that's what you have. Doing the changes to that is arduous. It takes time, and it messes up other things. So, in the field where we're in, of intelligent automation, where you can actually facilitate doing this type of continuous improvements, I think that's also a place where I think we think very alike, actually.
And I think I want to challenge you in one thing that you said, that was you always have to have the process in mind, and sure, but I think in the end, and like, it's always the business value, right? And the customer value. The processes themselves are not so, I'm going to say not so important, but they're not. Because, if it's so that you implemented, let's say that you implement an application, right? The processes that are working within the application is not relevant. It's not that what's actually creating value. It is what's the end results that's creating value. So I think that sometimes we're having maybe a bit too much of a focus of talking too much about processes, because it's not the processes themselves that are the interesting and the value creation.
Oh, exactly. Actually, you've got me there. It's super true. It's the output of the process. And sometimes, we've seen this a lot, right? There's so many processes out there. Some of them are documented. Some of them are actually in stone due to the technology. But many of them are not needed, right? Yeah. But instead, we're facilitating our ways of working around these processes. So where we should be focusing on the output and the value. So I definitely.
But of course, that also makes it having, let's say, for example, how companies today are organized is also that you're one department who are working with your specific processes, and they're very siloed in that way. And that makes also, again, from a customer perspective, you don't care if it's the finance department that is handling something, or if it's the the customer success department, or whichever it is. You want to get your value, right? And you want to get the thing that you're calling the company for, or what it is that you want to achieve. So it's also, I think companies need to think a bit differently also of in that sense, again, business value and processes, and how to make sure that you actually, the customer gains the value that it wants, rather than just focusing on the different departments.
And about that as well, when you discuss about kind of the siloed aspect sometimes within the client, how do you find that dialogue with the client when you're explaining about, that we need to take a more holistic view of it, and not really kind of hone in on one certain process? And I suppose a kind of part B to that question as well will be about the maturity of our clients at the moment, and their understanding of automation and what we do. Where would you kind of rank that at the moment?
I would say it's very different from different clients. It's a lot easier for, in that sense, I think it's easier for smaller clients. To have more of a holistic view, because it's not that big, they're not that restricted either maybe by budget, because often, it's one department, you have one budget, and that's how you operate. It's much easier for the smaller clients actually to have that holistic view then.
They can be fast moving in a different way, and they're also due to competition, they have to be fast moving. So often they are the ones at the forefront compared to maybe the traditional bigger industries or larger companies.
If we kind of look at it, I suppose now from the Nordic region, and both of you kind of coming in at the same time, and or thereabouts. And I suppose from where you kind of came in and the landscape that was there now to what it is now, I suppose, in the journey that you've gone on, what would you kind of say are some of the key leadership factors, I suppose, of you being able to kind of grow that region? And we'll go into certain specifics of it later on, but in terms of the growth of the region, how have you kind of found that journey?
Incredibly fun.
Yeah.
No, but it's been, I mean, it's been a journey for us as well, right? So 5 years. I think where to start. I think what's really worked well for us, and it's been a big part of, the fun, so to speak, is that, we've always been very innovative. I mean, if we look at Nordics as a region, it's always ranked as one of the most innovative countries in the world. There's a very high maturity when it comes to new technology and actually adapting and using that quite quickly. So being in that environment and also for us really trying to be at the forefront and working jointly with clients. I think that has been something that we did from the start and that we're continuously doing, that we might not have all the answers when it comes to all the new technology out there, but we're very good when it comes to what can be applicable now, and then we can guide jointly and do it with the client so that we also learn together. And I think that approach has been key for us this whole time, and really developing together with our clients in a sense. I think that has also led to the growth that we're seeing.
In terms of the kind of dynamic that you're saying where you're growing with the clients from discussing with maybe other regions as well, and maybe the maturity of other clients within those regions, is that kind of nearly an advantage that you would have in comparison to other regions where you can kind of have those discussions regarding the journey with your clients and they're more receptive to it? Or have you found that?
I would say, I'm looking at you, Susanna, but yes,
Yeah.
I would actually say that. If I look around in the Nordics, like primarily for us, I would say, our biggest market now is Sweden, we're in Denmark, etc. But for all the Nordic countries with Finland and Norway, they're all very early on. If we take RPA 6 years ago, that started to come into use straight away. Already now, when it comes to AI, even in our public sector, that is I wouldn't say mature because that's way too soon, but it's really something that you're looking at, you're experimenting with. So it's definitely an exciting place to be.
In terms of maybe some of the strategies that you've had in order to increase the business within the region, did you kind of point to anything in particular, or did you focus in on certain areas initially to kind of grow, or was it quite organic and adapting to whatever the client needs were?
Both.
Yeah,
that's the best answer. I think we've always tried to, like we were talking about earlier on, what do we want to achieve? What does the client want to achieve? And it could be anything. It could be, making sure that the client has the best possible experience when they go into the client website. That is something that we also can weave our offering around. And then that's where we go in. That's where we analyze. And that's where we see, okay, what would be applicable then? Is it a technology that would make sure that maybe the lead times between the client coming in and getting their answer goes shorter? Is there a conversational AI that would help here? Is there, just looking at maybe the pains to see what that is, and then applying one out of all the technologies we have in our rucksack, as well as methodologies when it comes to Lean, for example, Six Sigma. That has been our successful strategy, I think, from day one, that we don't go in and say, we're focused on RPA or we are focused on low code. No, we are actually focused on creating value for our clients, right? Yeah. And understanding where it hurts.
And following, I think in that sense also following the clients and seeing what their specific needs are and how we can solve those. That's really what's made it successful in the end.
Yeah, exactly. And I think another important point as well, and which is normally your favorite topic, Susanna, so I don't know what's happening today, but what we want, of course, is we don't want to go in there and say, we're here now, relax, we'll take care of it. But an aim that we have is, of course, that the client themselves need to run this journey. Mm-hmm. They need to drive this journey. We're there to help them, to aid them, to guide them. Important parts of this is, of course, the maintenance and the support of the solutions, the continuous improvement of the solutions, and once you combine these, I think that's the key to really
now
succeed.
I see what you wanted to go, maintenance, because I love maintenance. That's
she
another
really
thing
does.
we can talk about.
Yeah.
She really does. Is it concerning?
Yeah.
How much she likes maintenance, or is it?
Yeah, it's a little bit concerning.
But it's also good because that's really when you see if things are getting results or not, or giving you results that you want to in the end. So for me, that's really when we can say if a project has been successful or not. It's not at the go live point. It's a year after. It's maybe 2 years after. Of course, depending on what it is that you've implemented and for how long you wanted it to live.
Yeah.
But it's you should never underestimate maintenance and what's needed in order to create something that is actually going to be living for a long period of time and creating value during all of that time.
Yeah, exactly. And sorry, go on. Sorry.
No.
I jumped in. No, but also, and I think that was the point I was going to make, is that we want the clients to do this themselves. We can guide them in setting up their own process for this, their own support and maintenance, because again, it is such an important topic. Unless they do it, they will fail. But of course, we can help them. We can do it for them as well. But always having that in the loop, for sure.
We spoke a bit about learnings earlier. Is there any sort of client stories, I suppose, or experiences, or even internally, I suppose, of going through that growth where you were like, that was a moment that we really learned from?
Oh, I think we have so many, so many moments that we've learned lots of things about.
I'm dreading to take certain examples as well in case, but
you have one, take one.
Yeah, well, I would say one of the first actually examples for me that really made an impact was when we came in to a client to just see, they'd done so much themselves. This was ages ago, this was 5-6 years ago, and they'd done so much, especially within the fields of RPA, and, it was really cool to see, how much you can do. But also, speaking of support and maintenance, what we did, and where I learned a lot, of course, in this as well, was to just kind of, okay, so what has been built? What value does it bring? Does it actually work? What other dependencies are there? What is it affecting? And I think we spent a good amount of time to just really trying to understand what has been built and why, and then actually changing it into something that actually created the value. So it's not, you have the technology, you can do amazing things, but unless you've thought ahead what you want it to do for you, it won't succeed. And I think that was a interesting project to be in. And kind of take a step back and redo it.
And I think that's a quite common outcome, especially when in the sense of new technologies, and you have people who want to try things out because it's fun, and then you start something because someone is enthusiastic about it. And then in the end it ends up it grows bigger and bigger and bigger, but you have forgotten a bit about, having an operating model, thinking about the long-term perspective, saying how can we work with the business in order to actually achieve something here, and what is it that the business want to achieve? It's not only about implementing the technologies, right? Even though technologies are super cool, again, you need to have both aspects of the spectrum, right, in this.
You can't come with a hammer of RPA or conversational AI and just decide, where am I going to hit the nail in here? So you really need to come in with an open mind.
Exactly.
Yeah, and always communication. I think we talk we never talk enough about the importance of transparency and communication when it comes to change management. Because to kind of circle back to what you said before, it's about the people.
Yeah.
Of course, I talk about processes, you talk about technology.
And maintenance.
And maintenance quite a lot.
And maintenance.
Yeah, all the time. It's so annoying. But it's all about the people, obviously, right? I mean, we're transforming the way people work. And unless this has already, if you're about to do a new project or introduce a new technology or change the way you work, I mean, it has to be communicated. So I would say, I mean, for our projects, that is key. But it's so often, you really have to focus more on that, I see.
And when you mention communication, it's important on from the client's perspective that, yes, the people that you're kind of discussing with on a day-to-day understand the importance of it, but that has to trickle down as well to the SMEs that are really involved in the processes. And that trust you really have to build with the client as well, like, because they understand that you're coming in to improve the processes and that it's going to be a long-term journey. So to have that good client relationship is just so important for future work and for a kind of successful long-term engagement.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, I mean, from a Roboyo point of view and a Nordic point of view, but maybe I do think that this applies everywhere, unless we are a partner, unless we go in and we are at equal terms with our clients and saying, okay, what is your goal? How can we help you achieve the goal? Then, we won't accomplish anything. I think that's maybe one of the things that separates us a little bit. We don't want to just go into a client and say, here you have a resource that can build cool things. We want to be a partner on their journey, on their digital transformation journey to take it up a few levels.
Finally, kind of touching on the region and the strategy in growing it, from both of you kind of looking at it from the top, I suppose, of the Nordic region and looking to bring in more talent around that. What are some of the kind of things that you're looking for in order to continuously grow the region? And is it, I suppose, the same across the company in general?
Do you mean talent-wise or
yeah, I suppose talent-wise, either in terms of the personnel and the skills that you need, maybe that might be different to other regions, or is it quite the same across the board? Just because, we, on one of the last episodes, we spoke with Manu about kind of nurturing talent within the company. And I know that we kind of brought in the graduate program recently, and that they're going to have a chance to go around to the different regions as well, and to kind of understand the different dynamics within those regions. And I suppose to continuously grow the region and I suppose the company in general, is there anything that we're kind of looking for in general?
And the graduate program had their first stop in Stockholm, actually.
Of course, yeah. Where else would they start?
The onboarding was in Stockholm.
Amazing.
Showing Nordics. But and I think, of course, we're looking for people who are on both ends, both business that has business experience, but also, of course, technology and implementation or development experience. That's important for us. Again, competencies and maybe it's a lot more, about a culture fit as well. If there's, we're looking for people who are, of course, interested in the topics that we're working with, but also are interested in working with clients and are interested in their processes, their challenges, their, opportunities that they're facing. That's also really important for us.
And I would say as well, speaking of innovation, I think that type of mindset, as you said, being very curious about what's out there and what can be done with what is out there. Because looking at the business we're in, of course, there are, if we talk about RPA or low code, it's been around for 10 and 20 years, so it's not new in a sense. But what we see now is that there's so much happening, right? Yeah. So we need, in order to work with this, it's not, you need to be very inquisitive and not be afraid of movement and change, because it isn't clear cut anymore. Every situation that you will encounter when you work with processes or technology, and when you're with the client with a specific problem, will need you to really try and use an innovative approach. So, it's not to be a curious person when in regards to tech and what can be done. Definitely important.
Very good. I think that leads us nicely on when you talk about I suppose, the ever-changing environment of technologies and what's coming up in the future. From being at the forefront of it, from a Roboyo perspective, and also working with the clients on a daily basis and looking at the landscape in general, are there some kind of key trends that you feel are very important in the space of intelligent automation that will be upcoming? And I suppose from a global perspective,
there are quite a few, and I think before going into the one I guess that everyone are thinking is the obvious one, I think it's also
Don't say it.
maintenance a trend.
Finally.
that's the last time I say it. I'm sorry.
I was saving that for last.
So
No, but I think it's again, it's been spoken about for quite a few years, but I think still, I mean, transparency of technical solutions to the business users and people who are using it. So really much putting the people in the front seat and making sure that everyone, but the people who have implementations completed, that they're aware of what's happening. I think that's really, and that's a trend that has been discussed for quite a few years. That's still going to be there because and when we add technologies, of course, it's going to be even more important. And we're saying that our lives are even more digital, then we need to have an understanding of what's happening, right? Again, I think AI, generative AI, and all the things that are coming with that is gonna, change the way we work. So Microsoft had just released a Copilot, which is also, of course, probably going to affect, or is going to affect the way that we work and the way that we communicate among each other. So, and there are lots of other things that are going to come on that space. I think for me personally, it's going to be super interesting to see what quantum computing is also going to make. And that's a couple of years until that's going to be stable, of course, because it's very difficult.
Then again, it goes much quicker than we think, right?
It does, probably. So, but that I think also is going to affect quite a lot. But then again, and also I think a hot topic, of course, is going to be the ethical aspects. Right, within implementation, this project, and we are also, and we're also having these topics on the table all the time in our implementations, right? Because it is an ethical aspect within it, and how do we make sure that the things that we build to our clients, of course, and then if we're working with government agencies that we do, or public sector, how do we make sure that everything is handled in an ethical way?
And how have you found those conversations that you've had with clients around that, and what are some of their concerns, I suppose?
If I'm honest, I think that sometimes we should maybe question more than what we're doing. Now, I'm maybe very transparent in that, but I think that many people are thinking that I'm just doing a conversational AI implementations, that's nothing. But it actually has quite a lot of effects as well. And there are choices that you're making that it actually has a real impact, So I think sometimes we are maybe minimizing the specific implementation that we're doing, and not seeing that from the fuller perspective or the more holistic view in what implications it can have. So, but of course there are discussions also with the clients that are very informed about this and an understanding of what it is that's necessary, and it's all everything when it comes to how in what processes do you implement some type of machine learning algorithms, for example. How do you make sure that the algorithms are working in a good way? And then one topic that we haven't touched either, which I think we should touch, is of course data and data handling, because everything comes down to data, right? And the quality of the data, and making sure, and that's where again the ethical aspect starts. It's making sure that when we select the data, that we select it in an informative way, and in a thought through way as well. So data handling is going to be and is, of course, still, but it's going to be even more important moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in everything that we do, that is one of the first aspects we think about and we look at. Having that in mind in any project, no matter the technology these days, you might set yourself up for failure later on. So that's really going through everything at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's a good point on the data as well. I want to come back to the quantum computing as well, because I'm intrigued about that just from your own knowledge of it. But in terms of the data, it really is the underpins everything, I suppose, when we're looking to implement certain technologies, because you go into a client and they all have their data sorted in a different way, and it's never going to be the same either
Or
way. So
not
you
at
really
all.
need to, yeah. So you really need to have that initial kind of conversation with them and outline the reason for this and the importance of it for the automation journey in general, because you're only going to continuously run into problems if it's not kind of sorted at the start. But yeah, touching on some of the trends that you were talking about, I'm not going to put you on the spot in terms of like
Please do.
defining it.
Please do.
But just in terms of like the impact, or maybe for a company like ourselves to be able to bring that in as a solution, how do you kind of see that happening over the next few years?
Which one of them? Everything, or or
Whatever one you want to discuss.
everyone. No, but maintenance. We haven't touched that.
Fine.
Should never forget maintenance. But as a company, I think we're working in all of those aspects, and we, in one sense, we have to work on all of those aspects as well. And it's important, again, for the customers and the business value. It's important to have all of those aspects in mind when it comes to transparency, of what's happening within the technologies, when it comes to data handling, when it comes to, again, AI and what we're doing there, when it comes to our... if we're implementing machine learning, so if we're doing chatbots or whatever type of project that we're doing, then that's also something that we're very much involved with within our clients. But it's also, we as a company, we're always trying to be at the forefront as well, and we need to be at the forefront to see what's happening around us and what is it that we actually can bring in and bring to the table to our clients in order to, again, achieve the best business value and really see what we can do to solve the problems, because the solution that we had 5 years ago are not the same solutions that we're currently having, and it's probably not going to be the same solutions that we're doing in 5 years ahead. So
like we always talk about our clients to be adaptable, but it's the exact same for ourselves, I suppose, in terms of, yes, you need to be able to deliver the projects you're currently working on, you need to continuously look for new opportunities, but on the technology front, you have to keep up to date with it.
Yeah.
And
that goes back to the question regarding the talents, right? And what we're looking at, because this is an important aspect if you start working with us, is that we're not going to be a company where we sit down and then we say, now we're done, we know these technologies. We can't, because things are changing all the time. So you need to be a bit of innovative and work with this all the time.
I mean, one interesting point as well, I think, is that we do get a lot of questions in regards to AI and how to interact and how to focus going forward as a company with these type of new technologies.
Yeah.
And I think that is an area that I am sure will grow. And I know that we discussed this a lot on how can we actually help each individual client in the best type of way, and that there is actually a need for both from the ethical aspect, but also from the long-term business value aspect in regards to AI that each client need to really address, and they need to address it now. And that's something also that we, more from our guiding point of view, a package that we're looking at to really more formalize, because this is definitely a need. We see a lot of clients that go out there and test, which is amazing. We love that. We love the innovative approach. But sometimes the structure of what they actually want to achieve is not always there. So that's something that we are working on to do more within.
And then it goes down, of course, to the strategy as well, right? What type of strategies that you have within the company when it comes to these types of questions? How do you as a company want to address these topics, right? How can you make sure that this part of your daily business and not just something that someone that is very enthusiastic, is working with? Because this is going to change the way we work. Is this going to change the way that the customers...
Yeah, it already has, to be fair, right? I mean, see it everywhere.
Jojo, and the customers, again, are also going to, change the way that they want to interact or the way that they want to have information about the product that they purchased or whatever it is,
Exactly. And so I think, we talk about the clients being... being able to be ready for the change, I suppose, but it's kind of we need to look internally as well at our own processes, and you see how these technologies have changed the way we work, but also internally for ourselves, how it's changed, and us continuously improving our own operations so that we can provide the best for the clients as well.
Yeah.
And I think what we kind of touched on throughout the podcast is the kind of the different angles that we come from as a team and as project teams for our clients, and it kind of is nearly a USP for Roboyo in a way, where because we're able to work on that, we're constantly staying, you know, in touch with the technology so that we can provide the best solution for the clients. So it's definitely something that we need to continuously do and continuously improve on, as we touched on before. But no, I think it's obviously a really interesting space, constantly evolving. So need to keep at it. Thanks very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you
Thanks
very much
a lot.
for coming
Thank
on.
you.